Well, welcome everyone. We will continue to admit people to our meeting, but we're so thrilled to have you on the call. For those of you who I don't know, I am Margaret Preston, president of Power Over Parkinsons. We are a nonprofit based in Richmond, Virginia, serving those locally with Parkinson's disease and their care partners through all free programming, including exercise, wellness, and education. We also serve, hopefully folks can attest to the folks who are not in Virginia. We do serve nationwide through virtual meetings such as this, our educational podcasts, an interview series, and other ways. We also support research being done through the Michael J. Fox Foundation and locally our Parkinson's Foundation Center of Excellence at VCU Health. So it is our goal to help folks live well with the disease. And we hope that you find this programming helpful and informative, and I know you will. In terms of housekeeping, I just wanted to ensure everyone is on mute, and it looks like just about everybody is on mute. That just helps a smooth call, of course, without any background noise. We will have a Q&A session at the end, so if you have any questions throughout the program while Julia is speaking, feel free to use the chat feature on the Zoom call, and I will moderate the questions and read them. So hopefully we can have a succinct meeting and everyone can hear the questions clearly and Julia can get to them. If you are unable to use the chat feature or unsure how to do it, you are more than welcome to email me throughout the program. My email directly, you all should have had it to get the Zoom link. But if you need it, it's mpreston, like Margaret Preston. So that's mpreston at poweroverpd.org. So if the chat feature is a little tricky, feel free to email me and we'll make sure we get Julia your question through the Q&A program, Q&A session of the program. So without further ado, that does it for housekeeping. I'd love to introduce our speaker, Julia Lidgard. She's a clinical professor at the University of Utah, and we are so thrilled to have her. She received her master's degree in speech-language pathology from the University of Utah in 1998. She's been practicing speech-language pathology for over 25 years with both children and folks with Parkinson's disease. So in 2020, she got certified in the Speak Out program through the Parkinson Voice Project. So this is a great way to familiarize yourself with the Parkinson Voice Project. They're doing phenomenal work as relates to speech and speech difficulties related to those with Parkinson's. Samantha, their founder, I had the pleasure of interviewing her a few years ago, and they're doing remarkable work. So we're so thrilled to have Julia, who's certified in their really impactful program, with us today. And finally, Julia's been teaching future speech language pathologists because we need those folks who continue the work at the U of U Department of Communication Sciences and Disorders for the last 18 years. So without further ado, I'd love for Julia to get started with her program. Again, if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or email me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Margaret, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Julia Lidgard. She's absolutely right about that. And I am here to talk to you about a really phenomenal program that I absolutely love. I'm going to share my screen. So the program that we are discussing is called the Speak Out program. And Speak Out is speech therapy for those with Parkinson's disease or other similar types of disorders. And that is what I'm here to discuss with you about today is, I'm just gonna put my picture up, is the impact that it can do to help you improve your quality of life. So we'll just go on. So again, my name is Julia Lidgard. I'm a clinical professor at the University of Utah. I have been a practicing speech pathologist for almost 30 years, and I have been a certified Speak Out provider for since 2020. Just a little bit about myself. I love sharing my dogs whenever possible. So these are my fur babies. I have a 26 and a 28-year-old, amazing daughters. They both live lives outside of Utah. And so these are my dogs right here. These are my babies right now. The black one looks like a seal. Her name is Sago. And the white one, her name is Alta. And they keep me sane. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what is Speak Out. How does Speak Out improve the quality of your life? We can do treatment virtually, so you don't have to leave your home. And then we're going to do a few practice exercises so you can kind of get a feel of what Speak Out is like. So I'm going to go into great detail about it. First of all, you're wondering, why the University of Utah? Why am I talking with you clear out on the East Coast in Virginia? Well, the University of Utah, we are a professional outpatient clinic that serves Utah, Virginia, and actually Washington, D.C. for the Parkinson's Voice Project. We are doing Speak Out therapy for Utah, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. The clinic serves as a training program for graduate students in speech-language pathology and audiology, and I have been a clinical supervisor since 2001. We treat a wide range of speech, language, and hearing disorders in adults and children. And all eval and treatment services are provided by graduate students under the direct supervision of clinical faculty providers like myself. That is including Speak Out program sessions. So you're asking, why is someone from University of Utah working with patients from Virginia? Well, we are a Speak Out research university for both Utah and Virginia, and actually Washington, D.C. We do research for all three of those locations. And as a result, I am a licensed provider, a licensed speech pathologist in Virginia. And therefore, I am allowed to see patients from Virginia as well as from Utah. So I decided, why not? I'm going to start offering these amazing services to people in Virginia. So the reason, because we are a research university for the Parkinson Voice Project, we are able to provide Speak Out therapy for patients at no charge, which is really cool. You don't have to, we don't take insurance for it. We don't have to go through Medicaid or Medicare. We are just offering it no charge. If you are able to, we ask that you pay a forward for someone else to be able to receive free services for this amazing program as well, but that is absolutely not necessary. We provide it no charge. So a little bit about the Speak Out program. The wonderful woman in this picture, her name is Samantha Allendary. She is the founder of the Parkinson's Voice Project and the Speak Out therapy. She bases the principles of motor learning and teachings of the late Dr. Boone, who did all sorts of research on this. In 1950s, he recognized people with Parkinson's could improve their communication skills by speaking with intent. And so Samantha took all of his amazing research and created this program that is very doable and definitely demonstrates results. The Speak Out therapy program is developed by the Parkinson's Voice Project, and it helps people with Parkinson's and related disorders regain and retain their speech. So basically, we're helping you to improve your quality of life because communication is so important in our everyday life. Also, it has found that if we're able to help you figure out speaking with intent, it does transfer over to retaining your swallowing, the effective and safety of your swallow for as long as possible. Because not only are you learning to speak with intent, you are learning to do everything with intent. And we'll get back to learning or to do everything with intent in just 1 second. I just wanted to quickly make sure we're all on the same page. So what is Parkinson's? I know you're all very familiar with it, but there are 4 main symptoms: the resting tremor, the slowness of movement, the impaired balance, the rigidity, the stiffness. There are so many other symptoms. These are the 4 main ones that is pointed out on the Parkinson's Voice Project website. With Parkinson's, typically by the time of diagnosis, a patient with Parkinson's has lost an estimated 60 to 80% of their dopamine producing cells. And Parkinson's is caused by dopamine producing neurons where they die or they become impaired. And so without enough dopamine, the automatic movements are disrupted. So dopamine is a very critical component of the Parkinson's diagnosis. But that automatic movement that is disrupted is what we're focusing on during the Speak Out therapy program. Parkinson's is characterized by smaller movements. Muscles become weak because they are not used to their full capacity. And so that's where the Speak Out program comes in. Automatic movements are those that we do without conscious effort. So we don't think about it. We walk without thinking about it. Once we learn how to walk as infants, unless something happens, we walk without thinking about it. We talk without giving it any intentional thought. We just start talking. We swallow. When we drink our water, we're doing it without giving it any thought. Getting up out of a chair, we put our hands up on the chair and we get up. We put on our seatbelt. All of this we do because it becomes a habit and we don't think about it. We just do them. With Parkinson's, people struggle to produce these automatic movements because there's highly dependent on the dopamine. How do we take something that is normally involuntary and we turn it into something that we do voluntarily? So we're doing it volitionally. Again, that's where the Speak Out program comes in. Let me give you some examples. With walking, I'm going to try getting smaller again. With walking, the Parkinson's, just trying to show my picture, but it's not going. Okay. Parkinson's is characterized by smaller movements. Smaller movements when walking, it starts looking like we're shuffling our feet. We take very little steps. So therefore, instead of walking without thinking, if we want to turn it into something intentional, how do we do that? Well, I'm going to tell you, pretend that there are cracks in front of your walk. And so instead of just walking without thinking about it, we're going to step on each of the cracks. And if we want to make our steps a little bit bigger, instead of the shuffle steps, we set those cracks a little higher or a little further apart from each crack. So we get our step to be bigger and bigger. In therapy, in-person therapy, what I like to do is place circles further and further apart. So as the patient is walking to their clinic treatment room, they're stepping on those circles. So we are intentionally making them think about each step. So they are walking with purpose rather than not thinking about it and just stepping their feet wherever. We're making them think about every step as they are walking. So they are intentionally walking. With swallowing, patients with Parkinson's often have swallowing difficulties. So while eating or drinking, instead of swallowing without giving any thought, you want to swallow with intent. How do you do that? How do you swallow with intent? So every time you eat, you want to focus on each swallow. And I know that's very laborious as you think about it, but if you can actually sit down and think about, all right, I'm going to swallow, I'm going to take it, put it in my mouth, hold it there, and then think about it swallowing. We are thinking about each swallow during that time that you're doing it. Or we are thinking of this thing in our throat called the Adam's apple. As we swallow, we are picturing it going up and then down as the swallow happens. That is thinking of intent, with intent. So rather than just swallowing without even thinking about it, we're turning it into a voluntary process where we are actually thinking about what we are doing. With talking, individuals with Parkinson's are often told to speak up by their loved ones. I can't hear you. Say it a little bit louder. This is a super common complaint that we hear from from caregivers. Instead of talking without giving it any thought, you want to think about talking. How do you do that? We're not teaching you to yell because that will hurt your vocal cords. But instead, what we're trying to remind you to do is pretend you are speaking to a large group of people in a conference room. You're going to speak with much more intent when you do that. You are projecting your voice up and over my head. So instead of me sitting right here in front of the TV or in front of the camera, I'm telling you to project your voice up and over my head. So what we're trying to teach you to do is to speak every word with intent rather than just start talking. So that is the point of the Speak Out program, to teach you to speak every word with intent. Again, I'm not teaching you how to yell. I'm teaching you to project your voice forward so your loved ones and everyone that you're talking with will be able to hear you and not say what all the time. So speech is a highly automatic function, and people with Parkinson's have a really difficult time regulating their volume. So what is Speak Out? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of Speak Out. Here is the circle of intent that we use when it comes to the program. This is what we live and breathe by. The first thing with every patient that we see is we provide a 30-minute evaluation. And we do this in person, but we do most of this virtually. So you don't have to leave your home. You don't have to get dressed. You don't have to find someone to drive you. You don't have to drive in the traffic. You just turn on the Zoom camera. So the evaluation consists of a couple of surveys. Because this is a research institution, we're always trying to make things better. And so we are we are administering a survey to the providers, to the caregivers, the caregiver providers, and we are administering a survey to the patients themselves. How do you feel about your voice? How do you feel about your swallowing? These are only a couple of minute surveys. Then we assess what your voice quality is like pre-treatment. Then we send you, the Parkinson's Voice Project will send you the Speak Out booklet that you then will use all the time for practice. We look at the Parkinson's Voice Project. They have phenomenal resources that we use. So we're all kind of on the same page. How do we make you speak with more intent? You watch a What is the Parkinson's video, which is put out by the Parkinson's Voice Project, which is a very informational and actually a really upbeat video. So it's not a depressing video in any way. And then we begin our individual Speak Out therapy sessions. These are typically eight sessions that are no more than half hour in duration. So these are not very time consuming. We had you have a graduate student is working with you, always under the supervision of myself. And we work on the therapy session for 30 minutes at a time, for 8 sessions typically. Once you are done with the individual 8 therapy sessions, we do a post-treatment assessment just to compare what you were like before and what you were like after these sessions. Again, we're a research institution, so we really want to see the benefits of the Speak Out program. And we are providing feedback as to what we could do to make things better. And then you join a group, which meets once a week for 30 minutes. If you cannot meet weekly, that's okay. You can skip groups here and there, but we try to have you join a group once a week for 30 minutes. That's all we ask. That way, you are still being monitored. So if we see that you are regressing, we'll bring you back in for individual sessions. But we're also working on continuing to maintain that speaking with intent. So we're always there to remind you how to do it. So the Speak Out group therapy sessions is a huge part of the Speak Out program. And this happens honestly until you're sick of it or for the rest of your life. We monitor you, we help you, we bring you back in for individuals. We do refreshers every 6 to 9 months just to check up on you, to see how things are going and where we could improve things for you. So that is part of it. So the evaluation, the watching the Parkinson's, what is Parkinson's video, the individual speak out therapy sessions, and then the group sessions along with refreshers. So it is a cycle, or a circle, not a cycle, a circle that happens for as long as you are willing to do it. And we've been working with patients ever since we started doing speak out therapy in 2020. The same patients are continuing to come, and we just add more and more groups onto our schedule because we don't want to let anyone go, and it's completely free for you. So that is the circle of intent for the speak out program. The speak out therapy can be provided virtually, like I said, and we typically do it virtually with most of our sessions. So you don't need to leave your home. You do need, however, good Wi-Fi, so we can see and hear each other without difficulty. So if you live in a place that doesn't have good Wi-Fi, we at the University of Utah would not be able to provide it for you unless you can go somewhere during your session. So you would still have really good Wi-Fi that you can access. Up to 90% of people with Parkinson's are at risk for losing their ability to speak. That could mean their articulators get really fuzzy and they're just very mushy when they talk. That could be with volume. They get quieter and quieter and quieter, or both. But the speak out therapy allows you to continue speaking. And we do that by teaching you to speak with that intent. So now what I'd like to do is show you some practice exercises of what this would look like. So the first thing that we do is with the Parkinson's or with the speak out program is we always start with warm-ups. And the warm-ups typically take 5 to 8 minutes of our 30-minute session. And so the first warm-up looks like this. May, me, my, mo, moo. The purpose of this sequence of syllables is to not only practice speaking with intent, so you're throwing it over my shoulder, or you are speaking every syllable with intent, but you're also working on maintaining that breath stream. So instead of may, me, my, where you're taking a breath in between each syllable, you are stretching it out. So you're working on really increasing that breath stream. So again, if you're at home, go ahead and do it with me. Just practice saying it the way I'm doing it, like this. May, me, my, mo, moo. And if you found yourself running out of air during that production, then you know that this is definitely something that will help you, because as you are practicing these syllables and connecting them and making them longer, you are helping your breath stream to get longer and longer in the process. So since you're at home, let's do it one more time. Ready, begin. May, me, my, mo, moo. And did you see yourself throwing it up and over my shoulder? Or were you just saying may, me, my? I want you to, with these exercises, you're really practicing throwing it over my shoulder. How would you do this if you were in a conference room with 20 people? You would want every single person in that conference room to hear you. So that's what we're trying to do. Next exercise is to sustain an ah. And again, this is one where we're trying to get you to do for about 5 to 10 seconds for the purpose of not only using more intent, but to sustain that breath stream so you can be more powerful when you talk. So it's not like this. You're throwing it up and over my shoulder like this. And you would do that for anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds. This is an exercise where we want a great big mouth from you, not like this. We want a giant mouth. Ah. So you're practicing to using your mouth and all the components that help you talk. Those are called your articulators, to really articulate with precision. One of the complaints when people, from loved ones, when people are saying, I can't hear what my husband or my wife is saying, it's because the movement of your mouth gets smaller and smaller, just like the movement of when you walk, you get that tiny little shuffle. We're trying to get bigger steps when you're walking, and we're trying to get bigger mouth movements when you're talking. So you're supporting that breath stream, but also getting bigger movement in your articulators. So you are talking with more intent. So being at home, let's practice that one more time. We're going to say an ah with a big, wide open mouth. So not ah, but ready? We're going to go a great big ah. 1, 2, 3. Ah. And that's what we want to do. So that is another warm-up that we do every single individual session. Another exercise, and this is a really tricky one for many people, is the glide up and the glide down. And why do we want to glide up and glide down? Well, when we talk, we have a lot of life in our voice because we use up and down intonation. We have a wide range of tones that we're using to sound more interesting. And so we lose that. When we speak with little intent, we lose that up and down intonation when we're talking. So these particular exercises keep you, again, using more intent when you're talking, but also giving you more life to your voice. So glide up, if you, because so many people struggle with gliding up and down, I have people go in steps like this first. So here's what glide up in steps would look like. That's stepping, which is easier. So we work our way to the full glide, which sounds like this. So it's a smooth progression. First you step. And then we work your way to going into a full smooth glide. Again, here's what glide up sounds like. And that is a really tricky one for many people. So in your home, let's do this together. Let's practice gliding up. So first we're going to hold it at the bottom for a split second. And then we're going to step up like this. And now let's practice one smooth glide up. So hold it, hold the ah for just a second, and then we'll glide up. Ready? Ah. Okay, now let's do the exact opposite, which is gliding down. Again, this is a challenging one for many people. So we'll start up and we'll work our way down with the steps first. So like this. Ah, 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 ah. And then the glide down will sound like this. Ah. It's pretty challenging. I can see you challenged in the home. So know that you're definitely not the only one who is saying, well, this is hard. Okay, so let's start at the top. and step our way down like this. Okay, now we're going to glide down, one smooth glide. So it'll look like, so we'll all start at the top. Let's try it one more time. I wish I could see you guys, but I can't. So we're going to start at the top and glide our way down. So those are the glides up and the glide down. Very challenging for most, but again, really necessary to allow you to give more life to your voice and to keep you speaking with intent. The other thing that we practice is counting. So again, to sustain that breath stream, we practice counting. I'm going to stop sharing the slide for a second so I can demonstrate to you with me, or you don't need the slide. So we're going to count. And with counting, we're trying to sustain our breath stream as well. So it's like this. 1, 2, 3. And then we take a pause. 4, 5, 6. Pause. 7, 8, 9. Pause. 10, 11, 12. So by counting, we're gradually increasing our breath stream as well, because eventually we'll count to 4, where we take a pause and a breath, and we 8. So we are always counting to increase our breath stream and to continue speaking with that intent. So let's do that at home. Let's just practice counting. So we'll start and we'll do by 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then we'll take a pause, a breath, and try again with 4, 5, 6. So let's start with 1, 2, 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Pause. 4, 5, 6. Pause. 7, 8, 9. Pause. 10, 11, 12. So by doing the counting, again, we're just working on speaking with intent. Super important that we're practicing and using a variety of activities to speak with intent. And then, so those are the warm-ups. The rest of the individual speak out session is used for cognitive exercises, where we are using fun cognitive exercises to continue practicing to speak with intent, and also doesn't hurt to continue challenging your cognitive thinking. So for example, we'll put up a slide of dollar bills and coins, and we'll say, how much money is here? And what would you pay? What would you buy with that amount of money? Or we practice reading poetry out loud, or we practice reading jokes out loud. During group sessions, that's where people are interacting with each other, and it becomes a kind of a family with your group, because you get to see each other so often, once a week, and you get to know each other and you want to know how things are going, but you're doing all this while speaking with intent. So that's really important, that we're always, the correct word might be nagging, but it becomes a good nag. We're nagging, we're reminding you to continue speaking with intent. And we do little tutorials on what does that mean to you? How do you define speaking with intent? So it not only becomes a speaking session on working with intent, but you're also getting little brief tutorials on Parkinson's disease every week, where we're just talking about little tiny things for a minute or two about things related to Parkinson's, or things related to maintaining a healthy diet, or things related to maintaining as to try to keep yourself as physically active as possible. So it's a whole session in one that we are doing within a 30-minute time frame. So I'm going to share this one more time because I want to put up this slide. If you are interested in receiving speak out services or speak out therapy, all you have to do is email me at julia.lidgard@health.utah.edu, or you can call me directly. These are the two ways that I have found are the easiest ways for you to contact me. If I have put up links in the past where you can go and sign up for things, that has not been as effective because things just get lost in the shuffle. So this is the best way to get a hold of me for signing up for speak out sessions for twice a week. And then we maintain you in the group for as long as you'd like to attend, which is hopefully for a long time. But this is how you get a hold of me for speak out sessions. I finished just a titch early, I guess. But now I'm happy to stop sharing and take any questions that people may have about this program or anything else you'd like to discuss about Utah, perhaps.
So we did receive a couple of emails, Julia, so we'll tackle those first. And as folks continue to think about their questions, again, please feel free to type them in the chat or email me, Margaret Preston, so mpreston@poweroverpd.org if that's a little easier, or simply reply to your confirmation email you received to me. But one question someone had were, what were some of the earliest signs in voice changes, and what should we be on the lookout in terms of how our voice might change, and when we should kind of say, that's our aha moment to seek services?
That's a fantastic question. And my best response is don't wait.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know of any changes yet, I implore you not to wait, because sometimes as Parkinson's patients, you are not realizing that your vocal volume is getting smaller and smaller or quieter and quieter. You can tell it might be kind of down the road. And so if you don't have vocal issues yet, that's fantastic. We want to teach you now to maintain that high quality of voice for as long as possible. You would be the star pupil in the group where people are wanting to strive to be your voice. But if you're looking for actual symptoms, what we see for sure is the quieter volume. The volume gets just reduced, and you as the patient don't realize that that's happening, and you just start hearing your loved ones telling you more, wait, what? Can you say that again? I didn't hear you. So you're always ending up repeating what you're saying. So that's a big one. Another one is you don't realize that this is happening either, but you're getting smaller and smaller movements in your mouth. So like I mentioned before, you've got that, you can have that shuffle where your steps are getting smaller and smaller. Well, your mouth movements are getting smaller and smaller. But again, that might not be something that you're actually seeing happening until it's progressed down the road. So I implore you, please don't wait until you have to have symptoms of speech where you're struggling with it. Start doing this now to prevent it if nothing is happening as of yet. But it's typically the volume and the smaller movements of your mouth organs, your articulators.
So it sounds like being proactive is key here.
That's exactly right. Proactive is super important.
Okay. We have an astute bunch of participants, because the next question is great that I received. Do speech difficulties such as lower volume, a little bit slurring of speech, go hand in hand with swallowing and aspiration issues? So that's a quite an astute question, but I think folks are, if I have one, am I going to have the other?
Not necessarily. I've got several patients that are very, very low volume, but their swallowing is great.
Mhm.
Fortunately, quite a few people with Parkinson's do have swallowing issues. But what we have found is if you start doing things with intent, including talking and walking, that tends to generalize to swallowing as well.
Mhm.
The deaths come from when you swallow, where it goes down into the lung and you aspirate. So if you're thinking about swallowing, you are thinking with intent of swallowing, and you're not going to aspirate. But that's when typically patients with Parkinson's, they pass on because of swallowing issues. It's because they're aspirating and it's going into their lungs. So if we get you to start thinking with intent when you swallow, you are preventing that from happening for quite a bit longer, is what we're seeing in our research.
Okay, that makes sense. So we do have a chat question. This one's from Vicky. Will all Parkinson's patients lose their voice strength, and or the ability to swallow, or does it only happen to a percentage of folks?
It's a percentage of folks, but it's a pretty high percentage.
Yeah.
It is really common for patients with Parkinson's to have a very quiet volume over the course of their progression. I actually have a patient who's in her early 50s and she's losing her volume. And the Speak Out program has really made a difference. And she's brought it back. She's teaching herself to speak with intent, and her volume has been it was quite quiet when I first started working with her.
Mhm.
And over 4 sessions, she's learned to really project her voice.
Okay.
But not everybody, but a large percentage do. Yes.
Okay. And several folks asked, how often should I practice my voice exercises?
Excellent question. During the Speak Out individual therapy sessions, we do ask that you practice twice a day. So the Parkinson's Voice Project puts out videos every single day for you to watch. They're anywhere from 15 to about 18 minutes in duration. They're fun. You're practicing with them. So we ask you to do that twice a day during treatment. Once individual treatment is done, then we're shooting for 4 to 5 times a week, whether that's 10 minutes of individual practice with your manual or you're doing a video with them. We ask you to do 4 to 5 times a week. What research has shown is those patients, once they're done with the individual program, if they don't, people will notice a change in their swallowing and a change in their talking. If they don't practice for more than, I'm sorry, my words are hard sometimes, right? If they go more than 4 or 5 days without practice, they're noticing a difference in their swallow and they're noticing a difference in their talking. Mm-hmm. Because they forget to do things intentionally. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to force you to do things voluntarily, where you're volitionally talking and you're volitionally swallowing. So to answer your question, I know my responses are long-winded, but we're asking you 4 to 5 times a week of fun practices with the videos.
Okay. So we had another question via email regarding care partners from a care partner. How can they support their loved one with PD in terms of how to kind of navigate the communication when they can't quite understand or hear them as well? What supportive ways can they help?
To start with, if you're doing Speak Out, in my sessions, I have the partner join at least once or twice so they can see what the program consists of. If the partner is unable to do that, we can't really train the partner how to do that. But we basically teach the partner how we expect the patient to speak with intent. And then it's the caregiver or the spouse's job to continue reminding them to speak with intent. But also during practice, if you guys can do it together, if you can engage in a game where you set a timer for we're going to practice speaking with intent for the next 10 minutes while you're playing a game, then you turn something fun between the two of you while also reminding you how to speak with intent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good responsibility for the partner to have.
Mm-hmm. We had another question over email regarding Parkinson's and cognition. So like thinking about word finding and kind of that side of the speech issues where we can't quite think of the word. Do you have any advice on that? Because that's more a cognitive piece of it when we're searching for a word or not quite sure, can't grab that word that we're looking for.
Yeah, my advice there is to build on your strengths to target your weaknesses. So if you
Mm-hmm.
find that your weakness is memory and you just can't remember things, keep practicing, doing memory exercises, but then bring in compensatory strategies like using a day planner so you don't feel like you're forgetting things. Continuing to practice games or engaging in games that will allow you to practice your words. Those kinds of things the research is showing will keep your cognitive decline at a slower pace.
Mm-hmm.
As we all age, our cognitive decline typically goes. That's just part of aging.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you can keep working your brain out, it's like muscle memory. I can't expect to lift 100-pound weight if I haven't been working at it slowly. So you want to keep doing that all the time. Practice doing memory puzzles, practice little jokes, or practice. My next door neighbor, he would memorize poetry, and he little snippets until we'd go over there for Thanksgiving every year, and he would recite the latest poem that he had memorized. And his memory was so much better than mine. But he said he was doing that all the time. And that's how he got his muscle memory with his memory really good.
Oh, that's great. So all of that'll be our homework when we all leave this call, right? We'll all start memorizing some poetry. In a couple weeks, we'll all circle back around.
I would love to know what poems you memorize.
Exactly, exactly. We have another great question. We wanted to know, how is the Speak Out program different than the LSVT Loud program?
That's a great question. The Speak Out program does not require nearly the time that the LSVT program does.
Mm-hmm.
The Parkinson's Voice Project research has been trying to see what's the smallest amount of practice that we could do, because it's really hard to practice something every single day for hours at a time. And so the Parkinson's Voice Project research has demonstrated 30 minutes every day, twice a week. That's our individual sessions. With you practicing daily really is all it takes to remind you to speak with intent. Mm-hmm. So it's not nearly as time consuming as the LSVT. Very similar, but not nearly as time consuming. The warm-up exercises that we do, you continue to practice. Those all help where you don't have to do it every single day.
And then what are some resources for folks who do want to see someone in person? What do you recommend? Are they able to find Speak Out certified folks in their localities? Walk us through folks who just prefer, for whatever reason, an in-person appointment.
Sure. If you go to the Parkinson's Voice Project website, mm-hmm. you click in where can I find a provider? Mm-hmm. And on there, you can click on your state and you will see providers in your state as well.
Okay.
And so click on Virginia and you'll see providers in Virginia.
Okay. And then the last question, formal question, and we can, if folks want to unmute themselves if something pops into their head, we can certainly do that for the last couple minutes. But the last formal question that I received, Julia, if you can just reiterate your email, and I'll follow up with our participants to ensure they have this in writing too, but talk us through if folks do want to engage in the online virtual program, how can they participate, potentially emailing you or connecting with the Parkinson Voice Project?
Sure. If they want, excuse me, I'm going to get a sip of water.
You're fine. You've been going for 50 minutes.
This is really important. We're always cueing you to take a sip of water because yes. If your vocal cords are dry, it's really hard to to practice. You can, to reach me directly, you can email me at Julia dot L-I-D as in dog, G-A-R-D, Julia Lidgard. I'm going to share that screen one more time so you can see it. Right there, julia.lidgard@health.utah.edu. Or you can call me directly, 801-585-6215. Okay. I would love to help you, or if you are interested in the daily videos with the Parkinson's Voice Project, you do need to be signed up. You do need to be a participant with the Parkinson's Voice Project provider, and then you get access to all their phenomenal materials. Okay. So you do need to join the individual sessions first to get access to all the videos on the Parkinson's Voice Project website. Okay. There are some YouTube videos out there. If you look up Samantha Ellendary, there are YouTube videos out there, but you really do want to get individual speak out therapy sessions first, because I don't want you to practice doing it wrong where you're yelling. If you're practicing to yell, you're going to hurt your vocal cords. So I don't want you yelling. I want you projecting. I want you to speak with intent, which is very different from yelling. Mm-hmm. So I would want you to see a professional provider first to know what to do with your voice before you do the videos along with the provider that's on the screen.
And the next question we received in the chat, you might have just answered that. Someone wanted to know, is signing up to receive the 15-minute daily practice video an option? So it sounds like you need to sign up and see a licensed person such as yourself who's certified in Speak Out, and then you'd have access to the video. Is that correct?
That's correct. Once you sign up, the Parkinson's Voice Project gives you access to all their amazing material.
Great. Oh, that's great. So that does it for all of the emailed questions and chat questions. We do have a couple more minutes, so if anybody thinks of something, feel free to unmute yourself or put it in the chat. You can unmute yourself and practice being loud as you ask your question. Let's see if anything comes in. And again, as
this is Jim in Virginia.
Great.
We want to thank her for all this information.
You're welcome, Jim. Thank you.
As folks continue to think of a question, I just want to again reiterate that we did record the session, so we can certainly send out the recording. We will send out Julia's email, the link to the Parkinson's Voice Project, hopefully all the little housekeeping items to help you all really engage with the Parkinson Voice Project. Again, they're doing, as Julia noted, they're doing remarkable work. And, you know, philosophically, we should all be speaking and living with intent. So I think it's a great philosophy, and hopefully something you all can engage in and protect your communication. I think that might do it. But you all will have Julia's email if you have any additional questions. So I wanted to thank Julia for joining Power Over Parkinson's in our Virginia community. I want to thank all of our participants for really great, smart questions. You all are always engaging and amazing. But Julia, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. It was an honor presenting to you all. I would love to help. If you want the help, just reach out to me or to a different provider for the Parkinson's Voice Project. I just want to help as many people as possible. So absolutely.
Thank you so much. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.